on certain topics. Hey, YouTube. So we are live streaming for the first time ever on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So come on in, honey. We are going to be doing this. We're going to try to do it weekly because I want to have an opportunity to talk with the people. And I want you all to be able to talk to me. So let's get started. So for those of you all who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Rodney Kendell Jr. I am your host. I'm the host of the Rodney Kendell podcast and the Rodney Kendell Substack. I am also a candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates. Okay, I'll take this hat off because I'm getting a little hot. Yes, I'm your candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates. I am running in House District 90, which is Chesapeake, Virginia. That is my hometown. I am a hometown boy through and through. And so I'm running in the November election to shake up some things and to shake up the status quo, because what we have going on right now is not working, okay? It's not working for you and it's not working for me. So again, for those of you all who are just turning in, my name is Rodney Kendell Jr. I am your host, the host of the Rodney Kendell podcast and the Rodney Kendell Substack. I'm also a candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates, District 90. Chesapeake, Virginia. And ladies and gentlemen, I am excited because this is a critical election. We are, Virginia, that is, one of the few states in the union that has year-round elections, okay? So what does that mean? That means that we just had our presidential election, and now we are having our gubernatorial election. What is a gubernatorial election? So we are electing our governor, our lieutenant governor, our attorney general, as well as at the local level, we're electing our sheriff, our Commonwealth's attorney, our commissioner of revenue, our treasurer. We have a school board candidate on the ballot, and all 100 seats of the House of Delegates in our General Assembly are up for election. Okay, and in Virginia, we are now having early voting, everybody. So that means you can actually go to your local registrar's office. That's right. And you can cast your ballot for your governors, or not governor, your lieutenant governor and your attorney general for the primary. And for those of you who live in contested delegate districts, House districts, you can cast your ballot for your primary candidate. In November 4th, we will have our general election to elect our governor. We have Abigail Spanberger on the Democratic side, and we have Lieutenant Governor Earl Winsome Sears on the Republican side. And so this is going to be a critical election, you all. Virginia is a bellwether state. What does that mean? That means that we are a battleground state. And what happens in Virginia influences what happens the following year in the midterms. What are the midterms? The midterm elections are the elections that happen between presidential cycles, okay? So 2026 is going to be a critical midterm election. We have our Senate, U.S. Senate, United States Senate candidates that are going to be on the ballot in many states. And therefore, that will dictate the outcome of that election, will dictate the control of the Congress. We also are going to have some members of the House of Representatives that are going to be on the ballot. And so it is going to be a critical election because, one, we want to make Hakeem Jeffries Speaker of the House of Representatives in 2026. We want to take back the House and the U.S. Senate. We want to make Cory Booker the next Senate Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate. Okay, and then in 2028, of course, we will elect a new president because President Donald Trump is not eligible for a third term under the United States Constitution. All right, so we got the lay of the land. One last thing, Virginia voters, we are actually in early voting right now. And so you can actually go cast your ballot right now up until June 17th. All right, so I'm going to do a little plug, and then we're going to get into the topics. So for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Rodney K. Nickens Jr. I am the host of the Rodney Kendell podcast and the Rodney Kendell Substack. The Rodney Kendell Substack is a space where bold ideas, unfiltered truth, and deep conversations come to life. I'm also a candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates. House of Delegates is the General Assembly. That's our legislature, our state legislature. It's the lower house. There's the state Senate and the House of Delegates, just like there's the United States Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. We have three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. They serve as checks and balances in our democracy. All right. So let's get started. One last plug, and then we can get started. I promise. I am also the host of the Rodney Kendell podcast. The Rodney Kendell podcast is a space for us to come together to have bold conversations. I'll be talking with change makers, community organizers, community leaders. We'll be having the conversations that matter. And so please like and subscribe and tell a friend. All right. Let's get started. So, and lastly, I'm running for the Virginia House of Delegates and District 90. And that's this city of Chesapeake. All right. So one of the things I came on today for is because I just got off of the Clay Kane show, you guys. It was so amazing. So Clay Kane is the host of the Clay Kane show on Sirius XM Urban Radio. So if you don't have Sirius XM Urban Radio, go ahead and subscribe. You want to get into these conversations, okay? And we covered everything from the movement to the 2024 election to the 2025 election. And so that interview is going to air tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Urban Radio, channel 126. All right. So I'm coming on live today to continue the conversation that I had. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And this discussion that, I've been having with my friends, and we've been talking about, what happened. Kamala Harris. And Clay and I actually talked about this a little bit on the air today. The interview will air tomorrow on Sirius XM. But the Kamala Harris campaign. Child. So a lot of folks are wondering, is she going to run again? Should she run again? What happened the last time she ran? And I have not discussed this publicly because out of respect for the vice president, out of respect for my colleagues who I worked with on the campaign last year, I just felt it was in poor taste to discuss the campaign and my experience for some time. I wanted to give it some space. Wanted to give this president 100 days to get himself together, and I wanted to give the Democratic Party some time to reflect and to do a post-mortem on what happened before I jumped into the space. Okay. And after the election, there were a lot of hot takes. Everybody has something to say, honey. And so I said, you know what? I don't want to be, lost in this conversation. I want to reserve my comments for the appropriate time. And I think now is that time. So what happened? So for those of you who don't know, I actually moved back to Virginia from California last summer to work on the campaign. I worked for the campaign when Joe Biden was still the nominee last summer. I was based in Northern Virginia. I was the regional political director under the Democratic Party of Virginia and the DNC. And honey, it was a hot mess when I got there. And literally 4 days later, they let me know that, they let us all know, honey. Child, they let us all know, honey. At the same time, I found out what you found out, okay? that Joe was going to go ahead and step down and Kamala was going to take his place on the ticket. Honey, the way they went about it wasn't right. In hindsight, they should have had an open primary. They should have just had to do a quick process, and all the candidates that wanted to put their names down should have put their names down. But what was happening behind the scenes is that Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer, and I think Hakeem Jeffries too, he has something to do with it. I think they put their finger on the scale and shut that down. And so there was no open primary. And it was decided for us that Kamala was going to be the nominee. And that's where it all went wrong. It should have been a democratic process. There should have been a vetting process, and it should have been open to any candidate that wanted to run for the nomination. And we should have had to figure that out at the convention. Okay. And so that's where the foolishness started. That's not where it ended, unfortunately. The party was in shambles. And I have to call out Jamie Harrison and the leaders of the DNC. The state parties were in shambles. I have to call out Susan Swecker and the folks at the Democratic Party of Virginia, because I don't know what they're doing. And they don't know what they're doing. And I have to call out all the other state party chairs in the battleground districts. Georgia, I was there. I saw what it was, and it was not cute. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and I have friends in all of these states, and I was there, and I saw what was happening, and it wasn't cute. North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, all of them. It was a hot mess, a hot, shitty mess. So I drove all throughout the battleground states last summer after I left the campaign. I made a decision to go to the DNC, and I thought that was important. And so I stand by that. And so I left the campaign after the DNC, and I went to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and then I went to Georgia. So what I saw throughout the country, everywhere I went, from Pennsylvania to Virginia to Georgia, were Trump signs. Every festival I went to, there were Trump supporters and Trump organizers. There was no footprint of a Democratic campaign anywhere I went, even in my hometown of Hampton Roads, Virginia. Okay, you would not know that a Democrat was running. You would have thought it was just Trump running. And that's what it was. Okay, and so I say all that to say, the vice president never had a chance in hell. I said it, and I'll say it again. The vice president never had a chance in hell, okay? Because this was already the stage that was set before she even became the nominee, okay? Trump had been flooding the zone. There were billboards everywhere, on every highway, on every interstate, on every boulevard, on every bridge. There were yard signs everywhere, even in Black neighborhoods. You heard me? Did I stutter? Okay. And there was no presence. There was no Democratic presence. There was no organization. There was no organization. And this was before the campaign even started. So she had 100 days to basically rebuild a party. Who on God's creation could do that? I couldn't. You couldn't. So she never had a chance, y'all. She never had a chance. And so I say all that to say not that she was a perfect candidate. No one's perfect. But she was given a hot ball of shit to try to sell to the American people. And she did the best that she could do. And that's just the bottom line. You know, that's just the bottom line. No one could have done better with the basket that she was handed. Nobody could have done anything better. You know, she did the best that she could make. She made the best out of a terribly unfair situation. And so was the campaign run well? No. Her campaign staff failed her from the top on down, HQ on down, okay? And I work with many of these people. I respect them, but we have to be able to call each other out and call each other in. Okay. And the staff failed her. She didn't even get to pick her own staff. That she inherited staff from Biden. So they weren't loyal to her. They weren't communicating to the states. There was no coordination with the swing states. There was no coordination amongst the battleground states. I mean, it was just a hot mess. A hot mess. It was a hot mess. It looked pretty on the outside. And I had a great time at the convention. The convention was amazing. But the campaign was a hot mess. And that's why we lost. People stayed home because they didn't even know it was an election, y'all. Okay? Some people got mail that said the election was the day after the election. Some people didn't even know who were running. Yes. This is the reality of politics in America, y'all. There were people that didn't even know there was an election, didn't know how to register to vote or where to register to vote or when to register to vote. Didn't even know if they was eligible to vote. Okay? So there has to be a massive, and I mean massive, voter education campaign. And it has to start with 16 and 17-year-olds because we're going to continue to get what we get. And I just said this on the Clay Kane Show. Y'all hear it tomorrow at 2 on Sirius XM Urban Radio. We didn't lose to Trump. We lost to the couch. We lost to mis and disinformation. We lost to ignorance and apathy. I'm going to have to call it what it is. We got played. We did not have the infrastructure. We did not have the resources. We did not have the organization. We did not have the coordination. We didn't have the collaboration. We didn't have the trust. And we damn sure didn't have the hearts and minds of the American people. So I say all that to say she should absolutely run again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why not? What does she have to lose? She already ran in the most unfavorable environment ever and still got millions of votes. Came within a few million of winning. So, I mean, with a little organization and a little structure and a little discipline, why not run again? Now, let me be clear. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to her. But she still is the most qualified person to be president. I mean, the woman was the vice president. She was the second most powerful person in the world. Why would she not run again? Why would you run again if you was the vice president? Like, I mean, let's just be real here. And she raised $1 billion in 100 days. Just imagine what she could do in 1,000 days. Okay? So she should absolutely run again. Absolutely. Now, is there going to be a competitive primary? Absolutely. So who am I keeping an eye out for? Y'all want to know? Come on, y'all want to know? Y'all want to know? Come on, I'm going to tell you. Okay. So I'll say this. So Josh Shapiro is absolutely running. Megan Whitmer is absolutely running. J.B. Pritzker is absolutely running. Pete Buttigieg is absolutely running. Cory Booker is absolutely running. I will be very, very surprised if Amy Klobuchar did not run and if Elizabeth Warren did not run. And last but not least, certainly not least, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is absolutely running. And that's just the top tier. This is not even considering the Andy Bashirs of the world, the Ray Coopers of the world, the Mark Kellys of the world, the Tim Walls of the world, potentially the Wes Moores of the world. So it is going to be live in 2025 and 2026 and 2027 and 2028. So buckle up, put your seatbelt on, and fasten your seatbelts because we're going to be in for a ride. And the presidential campaign for 2028 starts now. So that's all I have to say on that, y'all. I ain't got nothing else to say. I got to get ready for my next meeting. Let's see. What else do I want to say? Follow me. Okay, yeah, I got to do a plus. I'm going to get used to this, y'all, because this is a lot of work, okay? So support independent media content creators and help us flip VA House District 90. If you support my work, you can make a contribution, give me a tip, pitch in a little, $5, $10, whatever you got. At $ Rodney Nickens on Cash App, Zelle at rnstrategies@gmail.com. You can also donate to my podcast campaign tour. I would like to take this on the road, y'all, but I can't do it without your support. I would like to travel all throughout the battleground states between now and 2028 to register and mobilize and energize 10,000 young Generation Z voters. But in order to do that, I need your support. So please go to givebutter.com/Rodney4, FOR, Virginia, and make a donation to my podcast campaign tour. And last but not least, I am running for office, y'all. We got to run for something, okay? Because if you don't like what you're seeing in Washington or in your state capital or at your city hall, then it's your responsibility to do something about it. And so that is what I'm doing. So I'm running for office. I'm running for the Virginia House of Delegates. I'm running because we need delegates that will fight for everyday Virginians. At the heart of my campaign is the belief that every Virginian deserves a fighter, someone that will listen to them, someone that will hear them, someone who understands the issues that everyday Virginians and all Americans are facing: rising costs, the cost of living, affordable housing, education, healthcare, job, economic development, starting a small business, supporting a small business. I'm running to create a more inclusive and equitable Virginia and a future that is prosperous for all people in District 90 and across Chesapeake and Hampton Roads. Listen, I'm not a career politician. I have spent my career as a community organizer with a law degree advocating for those who often feel overlooked and underrepresented. From grassroots organizing to coalition building to campaigns, I've been working to ensure that all people from all walks of life have a voice in the policies that impact them, okay? This is about, making sure that folks feel that this country is a place that they can feel proud of. And so I'm ready to take that fight to Richmond, to the House of Delegates, okay? Now, look, Virginia faces some challenges, and so does the rest of the nation. We are in a pivotal moment right now, but I truly believe that with bold, compassionate leadership, we can create solutions. We can help working families. We can strengthen our communities. We can promote justice for everyone, whether it's improving access to healthcare, to fighting for economic justice, to protecting our environment. My campaign is driven on the belief that everyone, all of us, every American and every Virginian deserves a leader that will fight for them. And so I'm fighting to strengthen our communities. I'm fighting to promote justice. I'm fighting to improve access to healthcare. I'm fighting for economic justice. I'm fighting to protect our environment. And I am driven by a commitment to the people of Virginia. And so together we can turn this vision into a reality. With your support, we can make it happen. So let's get to work. If you're fired up like I am to support my campaign, I would be so honored if you would become one of our founding donors. You can donate to my campaign, Rodney for Virginia, at secure.actblue.com/donate/Rodney, 4, Virginia. And you can learn more about our campaign on our website, which is going to be launching soon, believe July 1st. And that's going to be at www.rodney4virginia.com. Until then, you can follow me on social media at Rodney for Virginia on Instagram and Twitter/X and TikTok. And you can like and follow and subscribe to my Facebook page at Rodney, FOR, Virginia. Thank you so much for tuning into my first live stream on YouTube and Facebook. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Please subscribe to the Rodney Kendell podcast and subscribe to the Rodney Kendell Substack. Until next time, take care.